Okay, I have discovered that I can record videos on my computer. And that's a good thing because I have so much to tell you, and I thought this would be a much more entertaining way, aside from the fact that, yeah. You want to know how that happened? Let me tell you. I had a run in with the can opener. Twice. Yeah. I thought I was going to have to go to the emergency room, but I called a friend of mine who's a former Army medic. I showed him the pictures of the wounds, and he just told me to use crazy glue and then cover them with bandages for a couple of days. So I went ahead and did that. They're not as bad as all the blood spatter in the kitchen looks. I mean, talk about pools of blood, man. I mean, I had it running all down my arm. It was all over the counter. It sprayed everywhere. Puncture wounds do that because there's so much blood pressure coming out of the hand. Anyway, it's hard to type, so. Um, First off, I hope you and Judy are enjoying the Upper Peninsula. From what I understand, it's very hot in Fort Wayne, so escaping the heat and enjoying retired life, much as much as I'm sure you wish, you were in Paris and you were escaping to the south of France. The UP is not bad. It's been really hot here. So much that people have been running their air conditioners on overtime, and there's starting to be brownouts in the grid. So people are starting to die. Now, they haven't gotten the refrigeration trucks down at Cook County Morgue, but apparently it was pretty close. Okay. So, much to tell. Where do I start? First off, everybody in my neighborhood, okay, in the south side of Chicago, in Garfield Park, mind you, they are not aware that I am a writer. They're not aware that I used to be a reporter. Okay. They just know I used to work at a grocery store, then I drove for Lyft, now I have another job. Okay. So that has given me the freedom to move somewhat unobtrusively on my block. Okay. Let me explain something though. In Chicago, cigarettes are very expensive. $14 a pack. Okay? So there is a black market cigarette industry operating in the hood. Okay? Where I live at California in Madison. In my district, there are more police officers injured per capita than anywhere else in the nation. And there are more homicides per capita in my precinct than anywhere else in the nation. Okay? So, let me put it to you this way. I now can tell the difference between a 9mm and a 45 because a 45 has that split second of sonic boom after each discharge. So one round will fire, you'll hear the echo right before the next round. Okay? Now, nobody up here knows trigger discipline. Okay? If they're going to shoot once, they're just going to empty the magazine. All right? It cracks me up. And most of the time, they don't hit anything. But 2 weeks ago, that was not the case. Okay? So my block is controlled by the Vice Lords. All right? They've got everything 2 blocks east of me and 1 block west of me. 1 block south, 1 block north. Okay? I don't know what the gang is on the other side of that western boundary. All right? So they run their operation, the Vice Lords, out of a convenience store down on California in Madison. Well, they used to. All right. There was a quadruple homicide. Okay. At first, best I could tell, there were only 3. All right. There were 4. And I've been kind of trying to figure out for like the last 2 weeks what happened. So I've been checking with my cigarette salesman. All right. I can walk down that corner any time of day and buy a cigarette for 50 cents. I can get a pack for $7.50, Or, like tonight, I can take 2 of these and come back with 4. They're very negotiable. If you ever need to sell food stamps, bus passes, black market iPhones, and any kind of cell phone accessory, you'll find a buyer down at that corner in a minute. Okay? Well, the liquor store, 1 block over, all right? That's where the other gang works out of. And apparently, the liquor store gang was wanting to move in on the convenience store gang. So they went down there to the convenience store and shot 4 people and killed them. Okay. Now, my cigarette salesman, the one I prefer to go to is Bear. B-E-A-R. Okay. Now, he's a heroin addict because he'll be standing up and falling asleep. So that's heroin. Okay. I know that much. Well, at first he was telling me that somebody saw somebody at the convenience store and they made a mistake and didn't realize it until after the shooting. Okay? Yeah. Uh-huh. I may be naive. I am not stupid. Okay? So, I checked with my other neighbor. His name's Sheldon. He's a police psychologist. He knows what happened, but he wouldn't tell me. All right? And I don't hold that against him. If I were him, I wouldn't tell me either. Okay? And you know better than anybody. You got to be careful what you tell me. All right? So I get it. It's not a problem. We still have beer together every night. I checked with my other neighbor, the only other white guy in my zip code. Okay? He's a real community activist. Kind of the pain in the ass kind. Like, okay, he'll call up a patrol sergeant and make the sergeant come to his house so he can file a noise complaint against the motorcycle rally down by the bus stop every Wednesday. Okay? And what he fails to take into account in this day and age, no white sergeant with 2 white backing officers are going to go tell 100 black people that they're making too much noise. Okay? Yeah, that's just not going to fly. Okay? Here's what he will also do. He'll go around to area businesses and be like, yeah, that semi-container you use for storage parked next to your building, well, druggies are breaking into those. They're living in them. They're shooting up. You got to get rid of those. And the businesses will be like, well, we don't really want to pay to move them. And then he'll be like, well, that parking lot is not the regulation whatever. So he'll politely blackmail him with a code violation to get him to do what he wants. Okay? He'll go walk his dog named Cheese every day. He swings by the house about 11 o'clock every night and we smoke a cigarette together. Okay? And then I hear what he's been up to during the day. Like he's going to this person's house and measuring their grass and checking this garden to make sure it's the appropriate fence and etc., etc., etc. Okay? Right. Well, I found out from him that what went on at the convenience store was all the gang drug stuff. Okay. So that explains why last October I was coming home from work. I was still at the grocery store and I needed some cigarettes. And I only had a couple bucks on me. And I gave a couple bucks to this guy that I'd never seen before. He took the money and didn't give me the cigarettes. Well, I went and told Bear at the street corner at the bus stop. Bear walked over to this guy on the bench. Okay? The guy on the bench looks at Bear and says, take care of it. Bear gives me a whole pack of cigarettes. Okay? Guy on the bench looks at another guy. Okay? Sitting next to him. They get up and start walking towards the guy who took the money from me and didn't give me the cigarettes. And there was a conversation. And then Bear says, okay, do you want us to walk you home? And I said, no. I only live down there. And he said, okay, well, we'll watch for you. Okay. And then the guy that Bear motioned to apparently it turns out to be my block captain, okay, the Vice Lords. All right. He says, hey, I've seen you around here. You've been real nice to everybody. When you bum cigarettes, you always pay them back. So you're good here. All right. If you have any problems, you come find me first and we'll take care of it. And I'm like, no problem. Okay. Well, I forgot about that. And I explained it to my neighbor John tonight, the other white guy. And he explained to me that that's why I'm able, when I'm up writing late at night, it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I walk the like half block from my boarding house to the bus stop to get my cigarettes, that most people apparently would not be able to do that and not have any problems. Okay. In fact, I will tell you this, in the year and a half I have lived here, I have only had one problem, and that's why I carry pepper spray now. I'm walking home at night, minding my own business, and this woman comes up to me. She wants a cigarette, so I give her a cigarette. Okay. Then she starts asking me if I'm feeling lonely, if I want some company back at my boarding house. Asks me if I've got $10, and I tell her no, I don't carry cash. And she says, well, we can go to an ATM, and then I can take care of you. Well, that's when it dawns on me that she was a streetwalker. Okay. And I'm like, no. I didn't want to get into the whole thing of like, you know, she's a plus and I'm a minus. I just didn't want to go there. Okay. I keep it short these days. Well, okay, get this. She puts her hand on my crotch and starts squeezing. And I explained to her that I'd really prefer she not do that. Okay, while I'm trying to walk away. Well, she doesn't let go. She had her hand on that like the half block or a block it took me to get back to my boarding house. I had to fight her off of me and paw at her because she was trying to use her hands to keep pulling the iron gate on the front door open. Okay, I mean, good Lord. And she wasn't apparently getting the reaction she thought, so she's like, you must be queer. And I'm like, what makes you say that? I didn't know what else to say. Like it couldn't have been my voice. So, all of this together has helped me realize that I need to write a short story about living in the urban poor. It's fascinating. Okay, I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating. I have even figured out the supply chain on stolen cars. Okay, like I could go start stealing license plates off other people's cars and giving them to the guy on the bench and make $100 a license. They only need them to be good long enough to get them out of the state and up to Detroit or down in Louisville, surprisingly, where they can get them on a semi-trailer and then get them out to the West Coast. I don't know where they go from there. I haven't figured that out yet. Okay. I have figured out, one of the kids at the grocery store, I was asking questions about like, you know, what's the most insane thing you've ever done to deal with being poor? And he said he's got an uncle whose side hustle is going around to people's houses when ComEd has turned off their power and doing one of two things. If they got a box, they clip the thingamajig that keeps the box closed, reaching in and turning it back on. I've seen that. That's just switches. Anybody can do that. Okay. But he's got a connection to get more of those tabs. Okay. So it doesn't look like they've been tampered with. Or he does it old school. If they don't have that box, he'll take electricity from somebody's house and hook it up to their house, which apparently can get real exciting. There's not a lot of room for error on that one. Okay. So that's how I figured out the supply chain on the stolen cars. All right. I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, for instance, here's some other stuff that goes on. Like, I'm sitting out on my stoop. It's like a 3-story fire escape. They haven't been real good about putting more room in between the houses ever since Mrs. O'Leary had that problem with her cow. You thought they'd learn from that, but they really haven't. They just add fire escapes that won't burn so quick. Okay. Well, when I sit back out there, there's a porch light. I never turn that porch light on because I don't want to be illuminated. Okay. You know, if people are going to be taking shots at me, I ain't going to make it easy for them. All right. So, I'm sitting there 2-3 nights ago, and this guy pulls up in an SUV, heavyset Hispanic. He gets out, goes behind this bush. Okay. And I forget about it. I'm sitting there talking to myself, ruminating, you know, same shit I always do. And about 10 minutes later, he comes back out, and he doesn't look happy. And I'm like, what? Well, this woman then emerges from behind the bush. The woman explaining, well, you've had your 10 minutes. It's taking longer than I thought. The fact you can't get it done is not a basis for a refund. The guy tried to negotiate with her, and she's like, look, I can't keep coming back. My boyfriend's in the house. Well, I found out from John, the neighbor, the other white guy, that house that's like one lot south of me and one to the west is actually known for prostitution. I didn't know houses could be known for prostitution. I thought they were drug houses. Okay, so that was a new one on me. I didn't know that part. So I'm still figuring it out. And I talked to John for a little bit tonight, and I said to him, well, should I call Danny Davis? Okay, Danny Davis is our congressman. Okay, his office in the district is right next to the convenience store where they had the quadruple homicide. Okay, and John's like, no, he's old, kind of detached. He's a little weird. He probably wouldn't be able to give you any information. He did say that I should go talk to my cigarette contact, Bear, and just interview him and get some more information. And I thought, oh, that's perfect. What Bear does is the perfect narrative opening. I figured it out. Okay, I've been mulling this over for 3 months. I start with a narrative lead. Bear, half asleep, standing up, on heroin, at the bus stop, selling loose cigarettes, and the gunshots wake him up. And then I tell the beginning of the story through his eyes of the shootout. Okay, which wasn't so much a shootout. I mean, it was a couple of people shooting at 4 other people and killing them. They didn't get a shot off. Okay, so that's where I'm going to pinwheel out of that and talk into what it's like to live in such a poor district and what all goes on here and what it's like to be poor, what you have to do to survive being poor, and like how abnormal all of this is, but when you live around it, how normal it is. So that's what I've been doing. Anyway, I will talk to you. Oh, wait, hang on. Things are going so well. Look, I'm wearing my Basswegians again. You don't know this, but Ken, my boss at IU, was known for Basswegians. I started wearing them too, like my last 5 years there. Look how shiny they are. See that? Yeah, see that glint? You know how I did it? I finally figured it out. You mix shoe polish. Yes. Exactly. Both conditions and adds a nice aroma. Anyway, I hope you and Judy had fun in the Upper Peninsula. I will talk to you another time.